Hey y'all, it's Miss Flores. So today we are going to be looking at our Mathematical Monster Mash Part 2 to replace our lower WOW grade. So just like yesterday, we've got two Google Slides, which are basically just worksheets, and we are answering the questions on each slide. So our first slide is about a carnival. And so it is time for yet another fun-filled fall day. Let's head to our local fun house and check out all the activities that they have planned. So we've got our Fun Fest and we've got prices, right? So let's look at our first part. The first part of our question says that we want to do everything. You tell your parents that you want to do everything, but you need to figure out how much everything's going to cost, right? So for our Sense Experience, it says that Sense Experience, you're going to buy 4 tickets, but one ticket for each thing is going to be $1.25. So what I would have to do is I would have to do $1.25 times the 4 tickets, right? Pretend it's a straight line. So I end up with 20. Carry the 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. Carry the 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. But I've got 1, 2 numbers to the right of my decimal, right? So I need to scoot my decimal over 1, 2. And so my decimal ends up being here. So I end up with 5.00, so that would be $5. So the total cost of our Sense Experience would be $5, right? And so that's what you're going to do for every single one. You'll do the Mirror Maze, Candy Crane, Scary Slide. Then you'll do the Haunted Tour, Laser Tag, 4D Movie, and a Petting Zoo. The Haunted Tour, Laser Tag, 4D Movie, and a Petting Zoo are going to cost $2.50. It's going to have a different price. So that's what you're going to do for this slide. At the bottom, though, hold on. At the bottom, though, it says that you have to be realistic, right? You're not going to do everything. But your dad says that he'll split the cost of the day with you in half, but he's only willing to spend $20, right? So if he's only willing to put in $20, you and him go half and half. So he'll put in $20, you'll put in $20. So you've got $40 that you can spend on all these things, right? So this is going to change depending on what you choose to do, right? So in here you would put what you want to do. What is your total cost going to be? So add up all of your costs, make sure that's under $40. So how much will you pay? How much will your dad pay? Right, so you're going to split the cost half and half, but it can't be more than $20 each, so $40 together. So that is what's going to be in the bottom part of that slide. Our next slide is dealing with an apple orchard. So it says that fall is the most apple-licious time of the year. When you arrive, you can't believe how many apples are also there, gathering in bushels and bags and buckets of apples. Wait until you see how many apples go out of this orchard each day. So this is going to be multiplication questions. So in a bushel, this is going to be kind of like what we did yesterday, where we had blank spaces based on other information is what we filled out, right? So for a bushel, you've got the number of apples per bushel and the number of bushels sold, right? So you would have to multiply 98 times 52 to get my total number of apples. So I would do 98 times 52 and I'd multiply that out, right? 2 times 8 is 16. Carry the 1. 2 times 9 is 18, plus 1 is 19. I'm going to multiply by 5 next. So I'm going to do 5 times 8, which is 40. Carry the 4. 5 times 9 is 45, plus 4 is 49. And I'm going to add those together. Hopefully y'all's work is a little neater than mine. And end up with 5,096 total apples. So 5,096 total apples, right? And then the cost of each, that would be the cost of each bushel, right? So I would multiply $72 times the number of bushels sold, which would be 52. So I do 52 times 72, and that would give me my total paid right here. And then you'll do the same thing for baskets, right? I've got my number of apples in a basket, my number of baskets sold. Total apples would be 34 times 61, right? And now, in order to figure out the cost of each one, though, you have to look at your total paid, right? My $1,891 is the total amount paid for all of the baskets, right? So I would have to do 1,891 divided by the number sold, 61, in order to figure out the cost of them each. And so keep going, right? For our bags of apples, we've got 18 apples in a bag, right? And we're trying to figure out the number sold and the number of total apples. Well, first I got to figure out how many number were sold, right? I could figure that out by looking at my total paid and the cost of each bag of apples, right? I would do 1,736 divided by 14 to figure out the total number of bags of apples sold. And then once I figure out that, then I can figure out my total number of apples. I would do 18 times whatever this is. And then this single apples is the same thing as the first one that we did, right? Where we've got the single apples are just apples sold by themselves. So I would do, in order to figure out the total number of apples, we've got one apple and they sold 241. Well, that would just be 241 apples, right? They are $2 each, so then you would figure out your total number of apples times $2 each would give you the total number of apples, the total cost of all those apples. So that is the top part of this slide. So our last bits, we have that step 1, so make sure you're following these in the correct order, right? Grandma will make all your favorites, apple cider, applesauce, and apple pie. Dad tells you that that your budget is $100 for apples. What combination of apples containers do you buy to fit that budget, right? So you can figure out however many apples you want, right? You just need to make sure that it's not going over $100. So you could buy like 1 bushel, a bag, some singles, right? It's going to change depending on what you want to put in there. Step 2, fill out the table to show how many apples you bought and how much you spent. So you're just going to say the number of bushels that you bought, the number of apples that would be in that, and then its total cost, right? So kind of like a little smaller version of what we did up here, depending on what you want. And then you would figure out the total amount of money you spent on apples. You pay the cashier $100. You then write down how much you will get back and in what combination of bills and coins. So kind of like what we did yesterday, right? Figure out how much change you get back from the cashier after you spend $100 or at max $100 worth of apples, and then put down what kind of change you receive. And then our final thing, we take a pit stop. After a full day of apple picking, you and your family stop by the refreshment stand. Decide how many of each item you want to buy and fill the table. Make sure you have plenty for your entire family to eat. So you can figure out how much juice, cider, cobbler, and donuts y'all want, and then you would multiply by the price for each of them, right, and figure out the total cost, add up all those total costs, and that would get you your total down here, right? So this, like I said, is going to be entirely up to you. The answers on this is going to depend on what you are filling out. And so those are our assignments today. So this is going to replace the lowest wow grade you have, right? So make sure we are filling out this table and entirely correctly. There are going to be things that are going to, vary depending on what you decide you want to fill out. But just try your best, and I will talk to y'all later. Have a great day, guys. Bye.